Both as a player and coach, Robert Seguya was the definition of frustration after losing a game. Soggy, as he was fondly known, would sit alone looking absolutely distraught after the final whistle. Some refer to him as a sore loser, but to Seguya, losing was never an option regardless of the opponent's superiority. This competitive spirit was epitomized in one of his favorite lines: "I do not believe in superstars, I believe in hard work."
Bulemu wayogera ku Uganda Rugby majjukira omwaka 2007. 2007 twawangula engule ya Africa mu rugby. Muzeeyi yali top scorer mu tournament ku timu ya Uganda. Kugambye nti to celebrating obulamu bwe yateekamu kyamaanyi nnyo twangula naye kwegamba nga timu yaffe ya 2007 eyo naffe tunyolodde nnyo okulaba nga muzeeyi kwegamba awese naye tuba twebaliza Katonda obulamu bwe kyawadde muzannyo gwa rugby ate si wano wokka ne Kenya masimu tubadde tugafuna nga batugamba bonna nga basendinga condolences zaabwe, condolence messages tugamba naye bakkiriza game ye.
Seguya had to overcome many obstacles in his rugby career, including being labelled too small to play as a flanker for the national team. This saw him compete for the number 9 role, a position that accommodates small players on a rugby pitch. But with hard work and dieting, Seguya turned into a small beast that packed a punch and started bullying giants on the pitch. Rugby Crane's teammate and rival on the local scene, Alan Musoke, a former Cobs Rugby club player, affirmed this.
It was an honor to put it on, and you would, every time we would cross the Lugogo or Jija Road to come and play Heathens, especially from Chadondo here, it was always going to be a fierce battle. And you look at that yellow, because then they were putting on the MTN yellow with strips, and you just know that you have to play your best. You should have trained your best, and you should be feeling your best. And for us, in particular myself and Timothy, always used to know that even after we have broken through that line, there is always going to be Robert Seguya to cover. So Brant Indikawa always had an extra person. I think it brought confidence to them every time Robert was on that field, because he does everything. He's attacking, he's defending, he's everywhere all through the field. So Robert Seguya is definitely going to be missed. On the rugby field, he was just hard to play against. It was even tougher on the sevens, because sevens is shorter and you're fewer, and he was always full of running. So when he has the ball, you just know that you have to take him down. So it was always fierce battle, and the weight of the expectations for Cobs, then you know that you can only lose one game a season, because you have to bring back at your home ground, you have to win the win. So we knew, and it always used to happen. It was funny that we always used to come and lose at Chadondo and then win at Legends and then themselves. So it came down to how many points are you losing by, and bonus points always used to matter. But Heathens was always a joy to play against, and it always brought the best out of us. So we're definitely going to miss it. We only used to have that fierce rivalry on the field, because off the field, after every Cobs Heathens game, we would actually just sit down, and he used to like sitting on this corner here, and then we just sit down and just talk about the game. And surprisingly, the one person who still does that is Alex Mobiru. So he got inculcated into that kind of tradition. But we always used to talk after the games, and every time I would score against the Heathens, I would laugh at him, because he's one thing that anybody else could score, but not Alan Musoke. And I also had that same feeling, just that I was playing in the backs. I couldn't stop him much. But one of the things that he also used to do was kick for posts.
But Seguya's remarkable journey in sports has more than one sport discipline. Growing up in Mukono, 15 miles east of Kampala, he was good at athletics, boxing, football and swimming. Seguya represented Mukono Boxing Club from 1998 to 2000. A number of opponents were intimidated by his fearless style and endurance. Sam Kabugo, an international certified boxing coach, was one of his opponents.
He was a very skillful boxer. He was very tactical, technical and tactical. My favorite punch of him was it was a right hand. Once his right hand got you, then you know that would be a knockdown. So you have to be very careful when you're taking him on. So yeah, he was a very good and skillful boxer, but at the same time was very tough. Around 98 or 99, he was a national champion in the middleweight championship, in the middleweight category in the National Opens Championships. So we boxed together. I myself have ever boxed with him. It was a friendly between Korai and Kono. Just when we faced off together, yeah, I was lucky. To overcome him, I won him. May his soul rest in peace. But we were very close, and he was a very good and very tough opponent. Yeah, just because, like I said, he is also a former national champion. Because actually one time he encouraged me, wanted me to take on also rugby. Only that I couldn't find time a lot, and by then we used to train a lot. So, which means I had to train for boxing in the morning, and then later I take on rugby in the evening. And both sports are very tiresome and very hardworking, so I couldn't manage by then, since I also had some other stuff to take on. He was a social person, could get along with anybody. He was very social, because I also got to know him from boxing, but we got along very much. He was a generous person. That's what I learned from him. So it also taught me to be generous to people and to get along with people and get along with everyone.
In athletics and football, those who witnessed his formative years at school, like former Uganda Sports Press Association President Mark Namanya, in his tribute said that, I quote, "R.I.P. Soggy, aka Robert Seguya. You fought a good fight. You were the finest school sportsman I ever saw. You made Namilyango shine and Ugandan rugby rock. Rest well," read Namanya's tweet.
Robert Seguya was arguably the greatest school's sportsman of the 90s. He was the complete sportsman. He was a fantastic rugby player. That is well documented. In Namilyango College, where he was for his A-level, Seguya was the pillar of the school's team. He was just about everything. I don't remember Namilyango ever losing when Seguya was on the rugby pitch. You know, he was a formidable force. You know, he was a leader. He was an inspiration, and he was just about the kind of player every coach would dream to have in football. It was just the same. Namilyango is not famed for its footballing prowess, but we never lost a game when Seguya was on the pitch. At least I do remember in my time in Namilyango when Seguya was there, we never ever lost a game when Seguya was on the pitch. He was a boxer as well. It is the lesser documented sporting side of him, but he was a boxer as well, and he was a sprinter, a wonderful sprinter. I do remember him competing both in the 100 and 200 meters for Doyle House, which he belonged to, and Seguya, he did attempt just about every other discipline. He made attempts at tennis, at volleyball as well. He was the complete sports person, and eventually when he turned out to have the kind of career he did with the national team, with the Heathens, you know, it was just fulfillment of the sporting potential he had showcased all the years he had been in Namilyango College. And for me, I've told just about each and everyone I've encountered, I haven't seen anyone as talented as Robert Seguya. I mean, he was a leader. He was someone who never gave in. He was someone who always had belief in his abilities. He was someone who rallied the teammates around him. he was an inspiration. He was a talisman, And I think when he passed on late last year, those of us who witnessed his glorious talents, instantly knew that sport in this country had lost a gem, because we'd never seen anything like Seguya. I've never seen anything like Seguya before or since him, certainly in schools, sports disciplines, and well, may his soul rest in eternal peace.
Away from the sweaty sport disciplines, Seguya was a swimmer, and this is a sport his children have taken up from a tender age. The loving father, during his healthy days, would take off time and train his children on how to swim. Despite being hard as nails on the field of play, back home, Seguya was a loving and caring man. As the rugby fraternity called him Soggy the Iron Man, at home he was Bob. Simply Bob.
Mumazima nga watali okujjako okutuyimiriza twembe kugenda kumwongerako na bulwadde bulala abagenyi nga bayitirivu. Olunaku Seguya ayinza okufuna abagenyi 10. Bannanga abasawo. Waliwo omusawo wange oyo. Oyo yennyini. Munnange weebale. Kubanga ekiro kudduka emisinde. Aluwa. Benasinga okukwatayo. Waliwo n'omukyala. Naye simulabye oba ali luddawa. Natawanyanga ekiro.
The Bob personality did not stop in the confines of his compound in Mukono, but spread to neighbors, family and friends. Despite the observance of COVID protocols, this was evident in the large numbers during prayers at the vigil and funeral ceremony. Speaking of friends, Seguya was a person who extended invites to friends to his home and spoilt them with interesting tales accompanied with bites and drinks.
I knew Soggy as a disciplinarian. He was a true sportsman. He instilled discipline in all these sportsmen, all these rugby players. When he was a coach, Soggy would follow your discipline even outside of the pitch. You cannot start drinking, because when he was running Chadondo Rugby Club, you would not see boys drinking when they have a game at hand. No, he will not. He will not allow. He will discourage sportsmen from drinking, heavy drinking. That was Soggy, using funny drugs. No, for him as a coach, what I know is he had the two things. One, discipline outside the pitch and hard work. For him, he had the belief that you cannot achieve something without sweating, and that was him. That's why he's always going to be the best and one of the best. Yeah, off the pitch, of course, he was a man who would advise. Me personally would advise people on investments. That's the fact. As anyone was ever interacted with him, he would advise on investment, especially something that generates income. He would sit down with you and tell you, now, do you know what? Why don't you open this business? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? For him, he was a man of investment. He would want that life after this, where will you be? Do you have some income generating activity? That was him. And for him, he would want rentals and buying. Because right before his demise, he was bringing goats, was bringing chicken from Telso region, from those markets, he would bring and then sells. Yeah.
Being a former player, Seguya died an unhappy man with the way the game he dedicated his life to was being run. The two pressing issues were the poor preparations ahead of international excursions and the failure to reward the outstanding players at the end of the rugby season. I quote, "In a team of 15s, we need about 5 officials and a maximum of 33 players. These are the maximum numbers, my brother. Players want good meals and to sleep well. We can afford camps, but we just don't want to walk that path." Seguya told Nalubale Sports. But remember, after final selection, we need 23 players and 5 officials for a full national 15 side. In a nutshell, he blamed the failure to win the Rugby Elgon Cup and the Rugby African title during his tenure as a coach on poor preparations. However, during his time as coach, Uganda picked a historic away win in Kenya. The second pressing objection was the Uganda Rugby Union Annual Awards Gala, which is no more. Seguya, back in 2007, scooped the top gong at the said gala when he was voted the best male rugby player. Despite winning it once, he wants the current crop of players to also be appreciated by the Uganda Rugby Union, as it was the case in the past. Rugby Cranes star and Cobbs Rugby Club centre Oscar Kalyango was the last winner of the non-existing awards gala back in 2014. Discipline off the pitch was something Seguya did not take lightly. He followed players to night hangouts and forced them to go to bed early, especially with a game around the corner. This strictness sparked off a revolt that saw him ousted from Chadondo Rugby Club, as some players, fans and officials forced him out. He left a bitter man, and this was somewhat evident in all the visits to the ground as Ginger Hippo's rugby club coach. He had a score to settle. However, his ousting from Chadondo turned to be a blessing in disguise to the game of rugby, as he went ahead to assemble a formidable side that for once wasn't based in Kampala. He died before he could realize his dream of seeing the Ginger Hippos finish inside the top 3 ahead of the traditional big 3 of Ugandan rugby: Cobbs, Heathens and Pirates. In the near future, his ultimate goal was to eventually win the title.
Soggy Robert Seguya has always been consistent in character. He has always demanded the best from every individual. Honesty, and he will push you on pitch to your edge, getting the best out of you. For example, I was injured in 2016. I remember him telling me, Arthur, come back, come and train with me, I'll get you back to your feet. I got back onto my feet. In fact, I made the team, the squad for 2018, I remember. The same applies even in daily life. He always demanded honesty. He will tell you either something good or bad, so you either take it or you leave it. That was his character, very consistent, both on and off pitch. So he was able to coach me at the national level, but before national level, he was again my coach at Heathens. He still demanded the same results, of which I remember we won a few trophies under his leadership. I don't recall how many in number, but he has quite a number of accolades to his name at our club here at Chatham with Heathens. He was 100% on pitch. If it meant running, you had to run, exhaust your lungs. If you were strength and conditioning, you had to push. When we got to that bit of a revolt, I'm not sure what year it was, leading to his exit. Well, players at times may not meet a coach's benchmark or template of what he wants from an athlete. So, unfortunately, led to him leaving the club. But I remember him having left. There was a bit of space that had to be filled, and indeed we did miss him during that period, because then he had moved on to Buffaloes, which Buffaloes did register very good success rate. I remember during that time Buffaloes was at the bottom of the table, but the time the league ended, I think they were in place number 3 or number 4, and they beat Cobbs, I think, twice during his leadership at Buffaloes, if I remember correctly.
When Seguya got a new rugby home at the Dam Waters Rugby Ground, found on Nile Avenue in Ginger Town, he avoided other grounds, especially Chadondo. To those close to him, he openly told them that Chadondo paid his hard work and passion with betrayal. On the flip side, when he was diagnosed with leukemia and was in need of prayers, support and funds. The response from the rugby fraternity and the public alike was a pleasant shock to him. The love Seguya got from the entire local rugby fraternity, rivals Kenya and the sports fraternity at large mellowed him, and he chose to forgive and forget the past.
On my birthday, I've gotten a good surprise from the doctors who have really worked on me since the trying moments to date. I'm so happy to have the best combination of doctors in Uganda with me, especially in cancer. I'm really so blessed. I cannot complain on anything ever since I came to Malawi. The only thing that I say is that every day it gets better and better, and I assure you, they have assured me very soon I'll get back on my feet and then I'll come back to national duties. And my bosses be rest assured that whatever they're doing is up to scratch. I trust them, and I'm so happy today they have given me a boost on my birthday. It's the best gift I've gotten so far. Besides all what people have said, what people have talked, whatever messages after, but this is the best. If doctors can set aside the little time they have gotten through their tight schedules, that is really fantastic. I appreciate them, Dr. Dungu, Dr. Priscilla, with all other colleagues who have been working with them. Fantastic. I'm who I am today. I'm living today because of them. You know how I came about from Paris to here when I couldn't help myself. Thank you so much. And I'm proud that they worked on me, and I'm not complaining with it. See you, my people, my fans, my family. See you very soon. Soonest I'll be soon.
Many legendary heroes across different fields pass away without getting a chance to see the love and adoration their fans have for them. But this wasn't the case for Seguya.
Chivumbi, Dr. Chivumbi, our great friend, Dr. Ronald, Baluku, William, our son, you have done a great job. To the last time, I remember one thing, Soggy at night called Baluku and told Baluku, please get for me platelets and blood. I don't have platelets, I think I'm dying. The rugby community.
Seguya's success as a player. He was selected for Africa Leopards twice. Seguya was captain of the Africa Leopards, a select side from the best players of a given year on the continent. He won the Elgin Cup in 2006. He was also Rugby 15's African champion in 2002 and 2007. The legend also won the league with Heathens in 2002, 2004, 2009, 2010 and 2011. Still on the winning slope, Seguya won the Uganda Cup with Heathens 2010, 2009, 2007, 2005, 2004, 2002 and 2001. On the international scene, Seguya played for Uganda in sevens at the Commonwealth Games in 2006 and 2010. Still overseas, Seguya played for Uganda in the IRB Sevens circuit in 2001, 2003 and 2004.
For somebody who is a forward and is doing all these things, he was particularly very good at it. So we've won a couple of Elgon Cups because of him. We've won national team games because of his kicking. So it's another aspect of his game that nobody ever talks about. 2007 success actually began all the way from 2002. And surprisingly, if you look at that picture of 2002, 80% of that squad carried through until 2007. So I remember moments where Chester Williams said he was too small to be a flanker and wanted him to be a scrum half. So Robert had to change the way he plays the game to become a scrum half. And as a sign of respect to him, he embraced it and he was very, very brilliant at it. So when we built on 2007, we had the tours in South Africa where we went and did a lot of strength and conditioning. We had the Commonwealth Games in 2006. So we had bonded so much as a team that it was impressive how we kept it together. One of our biggest driving factors in 2007 was the semi-final that we had to play against Kenya, and the fact that the park had pushed the Blue Mamba, that was the scrum machine for the Blue Bulls in the weeks coming up the training, gave us so much confidence. So much confidence such that there was the first call against Kenya, the first scrum, it was in their 22. Adrian Bukenya just told guys, hey guys, you just come this way, this is our ball. That's the kind of confidence that we had in the park. And true to the word, the first scrum, the Kenyans were totally blown out and won their ball turnover, and it was something that we had also never seen. But the confidence that we had in that squad was just tremendous. We were so bonded by the fact that the environment of sleeping and the food was not good, but we kept to the purpose of let's go out and win this. And we knew once we jumped the semi-final hurdle, Madagascar or Cote d'Ivoire on the other side would not be able to touch us.
Seguya has coached local rugby clubs in Heathens, Toyota Buffaloes and Ginger Hippos. At the time of his passing, he was the Uganda Rugby 15's coach.
Robert Seguya, we met on the pitch in 1999 during the Safari 7. That's when we played with him as a teammate. But again, I went ahead to be his coach in the 15s. At one point as a team manager when we first played our first international sevens in Dubai. And then from there we've been together for close to about 10 years in rugby games on and off the pitch. He played different positions. He was eighth man. At one point he was a scrum half. At one point he was a hooker. He did so well on the pitch to the extent of being called in on the Rugby African team. That is in 2007 after we won the African champion in Madagascar. He was also the captain the following year in 2018 on that mission. Those games took place in France. There were two, him and Alan Usoke. He's been an icon, as I've said before, at the game of rugby. We'll miss him, but we'll celebrate his life as one of the best ambassadors of the game in this country.
A fearless competitor who combined great acceleration and rivaled game reading, not forgetting the gifted hands and a boot that turned around many games, was put to rest on 17th December 2021. Sleep well, Bob.